So our final speaker for tonight is Vednita Carter. She's the founder of Breaking Free, a non-profit organization based in Minnesota and St. Paul. And its mission is to end all forms of prostitution and sex trafficking. She's an author, a speaker, a trainer, and an award-winning pioneer in the abolitionist movement, and has been crucially involved in developing and running programs for sex trafficked women and girls and training law enforcement, the FBI, and was awarded the prestigious Norma Hoteling Award for her lifelong service to victims of sex trafficking. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I would just like to start. I know that we've heard a lot from us survivors, our stories. You've heard a lot of stories. And those are very important to tell people so that they really understand just the depth of the horrors that women face who've been in the life of prostitution. So I just want to start with a little bit about my story. I always pick and choose what I want to say when it comes to my story, how deep I want to go. So I have some other things to talk about too, but I will say that back in the 70s, the early 70s, I got involved in prostitution. And I got involved in prostitution through the dancing industry. They have dance clubs up here, better known as strip clubs. Well, the dance clubs had just came to Minnesota. I had just graduated high school, myself and a girlfriend of mine, she's white. We decided we wanted to get a job dancing, make money to go to college over the next fall quarter. So we went, we interviewed, and they hired both of us. And we started off dancing just in our regular, whatever we wanted to dance in kind of clothes. After about a week, they told us that our costumes had to change. You know, our clothes had to change. We had to wear what they wanted us to wear, which was almost nothing, you know. So we did that. Anyway, after a while, after about a month, they separated us. One of the things that happened in prostitution is racism. There's a lot of racism in prostitution. Black women are hated. And I want to talk just a little bit about that. She went down one road, I went down another road. While we were both involved in the strip industry, everything about my life changed. I never did get to college that fall quarter because I was deeply involved in the strip industry. A lot of people don't know, but I always say stripping is a stepping stone into prostitution. Every man that you see out there, they're all tricks, sex buyers. Now, things have changed a little bit in the strip industry since the 70s. I think in many ways it's gotten worse. But anyway, that's how I began in my life in prostitution. I ran into my girlfriend because we both got separated. I ran into her probably about a few years ago. First time we seen each other since we were 18 years old. I asked her, I said, how did you get out? What happened to you? And she told me, she said, my pimp just died. She's 55 years old. Her pimp just died, and that's how she got released. Now, that's just one story. Many women, you just don't walk out. You just don't decide one day, I've had enough. It's not that easy. You have to wear a lot of different hats when you're in prostitution. You have to tell yourself a whole lot of different things. This isn't so bad, I like it. I make a lot of money. This is a good thing. And I used to say those things because I began to believe it myself. But then when I would get home and I'd look in that mirror and I'd get ready to get up and go back to prostitution, I'd say, why am I doing this? See, prostitution hurts women. It hurts us in a way on the inside that we can't even describe, define. It goes deep. It's deeply rooted within us. Anyway, just 2 years ago, my girlfriend that I told you about that got out of the life, her son called me and he told me, my mother didn't wake up last night. She just died in her sleep. This again is not an unusual thing for me to hear. At Breaking Free, we work with over 300 to 500 women and girls a year. So now I've been doing the work with helping women escape prostitution for almost 30 years. So I've worked with literally thousands of women. And I'm going to say out of the thousands of women I have heard, only a very few say that they really liked it. They really liked it, and that's why they stay in it. But yet and still, they would come to our groups at Breaking Free. Because, see, we don't turn anybody down. Even if a woman says she likes it, she can still come to the group and hear what we have to say, because what I hope is that she's gonna hear something that's gonna trigger something in there and say, you deserve better. That's not who you are. That's not what you were created for. So we let all the women come. Now these women come, and when they come, what they tell me is, I don't understand why I'm just so depressed all the time. I don't understand, I can't seem to get happy, to be happy. Prostitution eats at you. It eats at your soul, it eats at your spirit, the inner you that only you deal with on a daily basis. That's what people don't understand about prostitution. At Breaking Free, I said we worked with 300 to 500 women and girls a year. Now, I don't know if you all know too much about, I'm from Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota. In Minnesota, the black population is less than 10%. Yet and still, at least 60% of the women that we work with at Breaking Free are Black American women. Black American women. I had one woman that came into me and told me that her and a girlfriend of hers got pulled over by the Minneapolis police, which is just like right across the river from us, 15, 20 miles away from St. Paul. And she said that the officer made them both get in the back of his squad car. They were out working the streets. So they got in the back of his squad car, the black woman and the white woman, both working together on the streets. He immediately told the black woman, get out of my car and go back to doing what you know how to do. Well, the white woman became very irate. And she said, how are you gonna let her go and not let me go? He said, I'm taking you to jail. And she said, well, why? Why are you taking me to jail? He said, because you should know better. You're worth something. You're worth something. You're worth saving is what he was telling her. So what happens with black women involved in prostitution? One is they're targeted. 60% of the 300 to 500 women are black women. So they're targeted by law enforcement. They receive longer jail sentences by the courts when they have to go before the judge. Their fines are much higher than that of white women. And they're more likely to lose their children to child protection services. They're considered not worthy, not able to get themselves together again. Now, I did my own investigation on the topic or the subject of black women in America, and I called different programs. There's not a lot of programs in America that work specifically with prostituted women, but I called many of the programs that I was aware of, and I asked them to tell me a little bit about how the black women in their programs were treated. And many of them repeated the same thing that I see at Breaking Free with the black women. So it's very hard for black women, much harder than that of white women, to escape. One of the greatest needs for women all over the country in the United States is housing. See, you get a criminal record. What that criminal record says is you don't deserve anything. I don't think women should be criminalized for being used and abused in prostitution. I call them prostituted women. It means that something has been done to them. When they go in that room with him, he calls the shots. She doesn't. Now, if she's lucky to be able to get out of that room and have half her mind, or what have you, she's lucky. She's considered lucky. And I always say, though, in that life, you have to say it's not bad because you will not survive it. At Breaking Free, what we believe is that prostitution is violence against women and girls. We know that little girls don't daydream about becoming prostituted women when they grow up. They just don't. Prostitution is an extension of slavery. We definitely believe that it is an extension of slavery. No one deserves to be bought and sold. As a matter of fact, even during slavery, prior to the slaves being free, there were a group of slaves, and these slaves were the ones that worked in what you call the houses, that believed that slavery was okay for them. And I look at them, I parallel them to the women who say prostitution is not bad, the pro-prostitution abolitionists or activists. They say it's not so bad. Well, these particular slaves said they didn't think it was so bad, but you had thousands and thousands of slaves that worked the fields. had to endure the heat and the sun and the beatings and all of this. And they said, this is bad. There's got to be something better for us. We went out. Well, see, lots of times we get caught up and we listen to the minority when they say it's okay. But there's a majority out there that outnumbers the minority by many numbers that say it's not okay, that we don't deserve this. We know that prostitution is a human rights violation. You know, I've said everything that I've said. I've just covered a little bit because I don't have a lot of time to talk. I've said everything that I've said to say this, and I say this all the time to women. See, prostitution makes a statement about all women. Every one of us, everybody in this room, whether you've been involved in it or not, it says something about you because you're a woman. It says you can be bought and you can be sold. And you can be. And if you can't be, your daughter might be, your sister, your niece. Women can be bought and sold at any time. And if they can't be bought and sold, well, what can they be? They can be raped, can't they? Every 3 minutes in the United States, a woman is raped. Now, she didn't say she wanted to be raped. She gets raped. So there, we don't have we have to stick together. We have to stick together, no matter what, because it's saying something about us. It also says something about men. We need more men to stand up and to say, you're not gonna purchase my daughter. Not my wife, not my sister. They're not for sale. Women are not for sale. That ended, was supposed to have ended way back in the 1800s during slavery, but it hasn't. We're still on the auction block. And we have to end it in all the world. I say that domestic women in the United States tell me that they have to service a man, screw a man at least 5 to 10 times, 5 to 10 men a day. When I work with women from Cambodia, from Thailand, other parts of the world, they tell me it's between 30 to 40 men a day. I want you to think of that. If you got a boyfriend, if you got a husband, if you got a partner, whoever that is, tell me that that won't have something to say to your body. You ask, what is the inherent harm of prostitution? The inherent harm is the sex act itself. That's what the inherent harm of prostitution is. So I just leave you now with just think about what I said. It impacts us all in some way. And if we don't do something, it's just it'll get worse and worse. We have to think about the Nordic model. Women can't be criminalized. They have to be out of it, decriminalized, so that they can get their heads back, so that they can become human beings. We have to put this on the backs of the sex buyers. That's a multi-billion-dollar industry all over the world. We have got to hold them accountable for the hurt and the harm that they have put upon every woman, every child in our world. Thank you.